आणि 10व्या अध्यायातला चतुश्लोकी आपण संपवली मागच्या वेळी. So the 4 important shlokas that Krishna spoke about himself is we learned last few weeks, where he said, and this is called Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita message, what Krishna tells. So this is the essential knowledge about Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says that aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita, that I am the source of everything, all that is material and spiritual, and everything emanates from me. And the wise Buddha, who knows perfectly, iti matva bhajante mam, one who knows this perfectly about me, Krishna says that he bhajante mam bhava samanvita. So he engages in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Then he said that the qualities of his devotees, त्यांच्या भक्तांच्या qualities, मच्चित्ता मद्गत प्राणा बोधयंत परस्परम कथयंतश्च माम नित्यम तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च, that the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted in my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. And kathayantascha, they are always talking about katha of Krishna, either his instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita or his different leela. Then he further says that for the devotees, he gives special mercy, he gives special intelligence. So, tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. So, those who are engaged always, satata, in devotional service, of a loving devotional service, priti purvakam. Dadami, I give them what? Buddhi yogam. So, I give them intelligence or understanding by which yena mam upayantite, by which they can come to me in the spiritual world, and they can be freed from this cycle of birth and death. आपण ज्याला भवसागर किंवा मृत्यू samsara म्हणतो ते. And then he mentioned about that he also is very compassionate about everyone. He is very merciful. Anukampa is the specific word he uses. Tesham, to those, anukampa artham. Tesham anukampa artham. Aham, Krishna says, ajnanajam tamam nashayami. So I destroy the darkness of ajnana. How? By atma bhavastho jnana deepena bhasvata. By dwelling in their heart, atma bhavastho, and light, deep of what? Jnana. Deep of jnana and bhasvata, by shining lamp. So he destroys the darkness of ignorance from the hearts of his devotees who surrender to him. So these are very important verses. And now again what we will recite from today is Arjuna's realization, and so what he says about Krishna after hearing this Chatushloki and what he has heard from Krishna so far. And we should check that when we study Bhagavad Gita, or when we say that, oh, I understand Bhagavad Gita, so if we need to check that our understanding should match with Arjuna's understanding here, what Arjuna is saying here. Then we can say that, oh, I have started understanding Bhagavad Gita, what really, who Krishna is, who I am, and what is our position. So particularly about who is Krishna. So let's recite this verse. So these two we'll read together. Text 12 and 13. Arjuna uvāca.
Arjuna uvāca.
Param brahma param dhāma.
Param brahma param dhāma.
Pavitraṁ paramam bhavān.
Pavitraṁ paramam bhavān.
puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam
puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum
āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve
āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve
devarṣir nāradas tathā
devarṣir nāradas tathā
asito devalo vyāsaḥ
asito devalo vyāsaḥ
svayaṁ caiva bravīṣi me.
svayaṁ caiva bravīṣi.
One more time. Arjuna uvāca
Arjuna uvāca
paraṁ brahma paraṁ dhāma
paraṁ brahma paraṁ dhāma
param dhāma
pavitraṁ paramam bhavān
pavitraṁ paramam bhavān
pavitram paramam bhavān
puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam
puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam
puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum
āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve
āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve
tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve
devarṣir nāradas tathā
devarṣir nāradas tathā
divyam nāradas
asito devalo vyāsaḥ
asito devalo vyāsaḥ
svayaṁ caiva bravīṣi me.
svayaṁ caiva bravīṣi.
Madhu Prabhu, you want to recite?
हाँ प्रभु अर्जुन उवाच
Arjuna uvāca
परम ब्रह्म परम धाम
param brahma param dhāma
पवित्रम परमं भवान
pavitraṁ paramam bhavān
पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम
puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam
आदिदेवम अजम विभुम
ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum
आहुस्त्वां ऋषयः सर्वे
āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve
देवर्षिर्नारदस्ततः
devarṣir nāradas tathā
आसितो देवलो अव्यस
asito devalo vyāsaḥ
असितो देवलो व्यासः
asito
स्वयं चैव ब्रवीषि मे
svayaṁ caiva bravīṣi.
Thank you, Madhu Prabhu. We'll do word for word meaning. So here, Arjuna uvāca means Arjun said. Param means supreme. Brahma means truth. Param means supreme. Dhāma means sustenance or place or abode. Pavitraṁ means pure. Paramam means supreme. Bhavān, so he is addressing to Krishna here, you. Puruṣaṁ means personality. Śāśvataṁ means eternal, śāśvat. Divyam means transcendental. ādi-devam means the original Supreme Lord. Ajaṁ means unborn. Vibhum means the greatest. Ahu means say. Tvām means of you or about you. ṛṣayaḥ means sages. Sarve means all. devarṣir means the sage among the demigods. Narada means Narad. Tathā means also. Asita means a sage named Asit. Devala means a sage named Devala. Vyāsaḥ means Vyasadev. Svayaṁ means you personally. Cha means also. Eva means certainly. Bravīṣi means you are saying or you are explaining. Me means unto me, to me. So translation, Arjun said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narad, Asito, Devala and Vyāsa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. So this is very strong and bold statement that Arjun is making. So he's using so many adjectives about Krishna based on his understanding was what he has heard in the Bhagavad Gita so far from Krishna, and particularly after hearing the Chatushloki, the last four slokas. So he is referring to Krishna as Param Brahma. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param Brahma. Param Dhāma. You are the Supreme, Ultimate Dhāma, abode. Pavitraṁ. You are the purest person. Paramam, you are the ultimate supreme, the absolute truth. You, and then further he says, paramam bhavān, then puruṣaṁ. So he is saying him as you are the eternal purush, you are the original person, you are the eternal, transcendental, divyam, original person, puruṣaṁ, the unborn, ajaṁ, and then the greatest, vibhum. So he's talking about Krishna as you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and you are above everyone, all the devatas, all that we can know of. So somebody may say that, oh, because Arjuna is Krishna's friend and Krishna is talking to him, so Arjuna is kind of flattering him or he is glorifying him out of love or out of affection, friendly affection. But Arjuna is immediately putting about authorities here. So what does he say? That it's not just me saying this. Āhus tvām sarve. All the great sages are saying same thing about you. And he takes some names of the great personalities who are very authorized or who are the authority among the whole universe, in the whole universe, among all the devatas, rishis and everybody. And who are they? Narada, Asito, Devala and Vyāsa. These are some great sages, great personalities. We know Narada Muni. So Narada Muni is one of the great acharyas that he can travel anywhere in the spiritual world as well as in the material world without any spaceship or anything. And Vyasadeva, we all know that he is the one who wrote all these Vedic literature in writing, who put all these Vedic literature in writing. He wrote the Mahabharata, all the Puranas, all the Vedas, and that's why his name is actually Vyāsa. Vyāsa means to divide. So originally there was one Veda, but because Vyasadeva saw that in Kali Yuga, particularly people will be very less intelligent and they short-lived, and then they will be always in anxiety and they will not have enough understanding about the Vedas. So he divided all the Vedas into four. Then he wrote the commentaries in the form of different Puranas. So there are 18 Purana. And then he, for the Panchama Purana, Panchama Veda is Itihasas or Mahabharata he wrote for the less intelligent people. And this is actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that Mahabharata is written for less intelligent class of people, and those are Shriya, Shudra, Vaishya, Dvija, Bandhunam. So those, for them to understand, because then it is like a political story with all lots of drama in it. So that way people have tendency to read about this, and then in that Mahabharata, he placed this Bhagavad Gita very nicely so that the essence of all the Vedic knowledge, which is the Bhagavad Gita, this Gita Upanishad, people will read while reading the Mahabharata as well. So that Vyasadeva is also, and he is none other than Krishna's incarnation actually, because nobody can take up this monumental task of giving this knowledge to the mankind. Only Krishna can do that. So Vyasadeva is Krishna's empowered incarnation. His Shaktyavesha avatar. So his name is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyāsa. So he's Krishna himself, and he was born between the two islands. That's why he's Dvipa Ayana, Dvaipayana, and Vyasa because he divided the Veda. Vyasa means to divide. So he says that even great personalities, and Narada Muni is actually devarṣir. He is the sage among all the great personalities, all the great devatas, even in the heavenly planetary systems. So all these great personalities say this truth about you. āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve, devarṣir nāradas tathā. And he's saying you yourself are also declaring the same thing to me, because Krishna said in the earlier verses that aham sarvasya prabho mattas sarvam pravartate, that everything emanates from me. And then he in previous chapters he said that even in this chapter in the beginning, name vidu pragana prabhavam na maharshaya, that to me not even the devatas, great sages, or all the sura and asura, they don't know me, because I am the creator of them. I am the one who created them. So he is saying that you yourself are also declaring the same thing to me. Svayaṁ ca eva bravīṣi me. So after hearing Bhagavad Gita so far, or even studying Bhagavad Gita, if we don't understand Krishna in this way, then we have not understood the Bhagavad Gita, because our understanding is not in alignment with that of Arjuna. Because Arjuna is hearing the Bhagavad Gita first hand directly from Krishna. And this is his understanding about Krishna, that you are the Supreme Personality of God. And he is not saying that you are Nirakara. He is saying you are the original person. puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ. So the word he uses here, puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam, and transcendental. And ādi-devam, you are the original Deva, original God, who is creator of all the so-called gods, what we understand, devatas. And you are vibhu. Vibhu means the infinitely great. Vibhu. And we are anu. Krishna eventually mentions that mama evansho jiva loke, jiva bhuta, that mama eva amsha. All these living entities are my parts and particles. They are my parts, amsha. So he is vibhu and we are anu. We are amsha and he is amshi. So let's read the purport, and we can see again some references from other scriptures which confirm that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How about big purport? Chandrakant Prabhu, you want to read the first two paragraphs?
Sure.
And then Sunil Prabhu can read the remaining part.
In these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to Mayavadi philosopher. For here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, after hearing the essential 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita in this chapter, became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, "You are Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And previously Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now, by His grace, Arjuna is accepting him as the supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. Whenever or whatever Arjuna says in these two verses is confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes a devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is the rest for everything, and Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of him. This constant thinking of Krishna is a smaranam, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of his material body.
Okay. Thank you, Chandrakant Prabhu. Sunil Prabhu, you want to continue the next remaining part?
In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure, one who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure, can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as the supreme pure complies with the injunction of Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narad is the chief. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is the supreme existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth, and death. Not only does Arjuna confirm this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Puran and histories, in all Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described. And the Supreme Lord himself also says in the 4th chapter, although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principles. He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept the statements in these two verses. This is called the parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, those proud of their academic education, despite so much evidence in Vedic literature, stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So very nicely, I think Prabhupada puts more to this. So in these two verses, Krishna gives the chance to Mayavadi philosophers. So first of all, what is Mayavadi philosopher? So Mayavadi philosophers they think that Krishna is like us, or the God, God is Supreme Brahman, or when we learn that Brahman realization, Paramatma and Bhagwan realization, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Sutta Goswami says that Vadanti tat tattva vidastatvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdate. That the supreme absolute truth is realized in 3 stages. First is Brahman, then Paramatma within our heart, and Bhagwan Krishna himself. And Bhagwan Krishna is the source of Paramatma and Brahman. Krishna confirms that in many places, even in the 14th chapter, the last verse, he explains that. So, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, that Krishna says that I am the source or the rest of Brahman. So, but Mayavadi philosopher says that when Krishna appears here in this earth, 5,000 years ago when he appeared, or in this material universe, he is under control of Maya, just like we all are. But here it is clearly said that he is supreme, and one more thing, that he is separate and different from the individual soul. So two parts here. One is that they think that Krishna comes under control of Maya, but Krishna said in the 9th chapter, we read that even in the 7th chapter. So in the 9th chapter, we read 10th verse that Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sarcharachara. That this prakriti or Maya or my material energy works under my adhyakshata, under my control. So Krishna never comes under control of Maya. He is always superior, irrespective of where he is. And also in the 7th chapter, 14th verse, he talked about Daivihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya. Mama Maya. This Maya is my energy. But that is also divine, but it is Gunamayi. This is made of three modes of material nature, three gunas, Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. And by these three gunas, all the living entities, all the Jivatmas like us, we are entangled, we are under control of Maya and covered by these three modes of material nature. And we are always traversing either in one of these modes or mix of those. So sometimes we are in Satogun, sometimes in Tamogun, sometimes in Rajogun. And that is required for maintenance, creation, and annihilation of this material world. But Krishna is free from this because he is the controller, because he says, Mama Maya Durattaya. So he never comes under control of Maya, rather he is the controller of Maya. And the other point is, they think that when we liberate, when a Jivatma gets liberation, he merges into the Brahman or the Supreme Brahman. So he loses his own identity. So when I die and I liberate, that means I merge in this God and I lose my identity. And that's why they call that, oh, I also become God. And that's why they say that everybody is God. But here it is saying that he is paramam puruṣaṁ, and we are not parama purusha. We are not even purusha actually. We are prakriti. We are in the 7th chapter. Krishna mentioned that bhumi rapo analo vayu khammano buddhi revacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritir ashtada. That there are 8 separated material energies. The Panchamahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are my 8 separated material energies. But then he says in the 5th verse that Aparayam itastu anya prakritim viddhime paraṁ. But other than these, there is some superior prakriti of me. There is some superior energy of mine. And what is that? Jiva Bhutam, the living entities. So we are also Prakriti, but we are spiritual Prakriti. We are his spiritual energy. So we are separate, and every living entity maintains his individual identity all the time. They never merge into God. Even though when we go back in spiritual world and we get free from this cycle of birth and death, we always maintain our individuality. And this also we can confirm from the middle portion of the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Dusra Adhyat. So where Krishna gives description of, first he tells that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. And then each individual soul is different, because the qualities of soul that are given in the 2nd chapter, that it cannot be cut by any weapon, it cannot be burned by fire, it cannot be moistened by water, or it cannot be withered by wind. So if the soul cannot be cut, it can never separate from the original soul. It is always individual. It is always separate. And Krishna is the supreme soul. He is Paramatma, we are Atma. So that individuality is always there. So there are two things then that the Prabhupada says that Mayapadi philosophers have two shortcomings in their philosophy. that they think that they are same as Krishna, which we are never, because he is vibhu and we are anu. He is the supreme, he is infinite, and we are infinitesimal. So qualitatively, we may be same as Krishna, but quantitatively, we are very minute particles, and we can never become supreme. And also, we never merge in the parabrahma. We are Brahman, but we are by nature we are Brahman, but we never merge into the supreme Brahman. Or not all the souls can merge together. No, that never happens. Everybody always maintains their individual identity. So that is what Prabhupada mentions in this first line here, that Supreme Lord gives a chance for Mayavadi philosopher to understand this through this verse, because Arjuna clearly says that param brahma, you are param brahma, you are not just Brahma. And our the very first aphorism of Vedanta Sutra is athato brahma jignasa, that we should search for Brahman. And aham brahmasmi. So I am Brahma, but Krishna is param brahma. He is the supreme Brahma. He is the source of all Brahma. So when I say aham brahmasmi, that means that I am not this body, I am spiritual being. I am Brahma. So after hearing the essential 4 verses, then he accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So before we read in the first chapter, actually up to beginning of the second chapter, the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna is just the talks between two friends. But in the second chapter, 7th verse, Arjuna is so bewildered that he surrenders completely to Krishna. And then he accepts him as his Guru and the Supreme Lord. And then he says that, now please instruct me what is better for me. Karpanya doshopahata svabhava pruṣaṁ tvām dharma sammūಢa cheta yat śreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shādimam tvām prapannam. Arjuna says, let's open that verse actually. And then Krishna starts talking to him the real message of Bhagavad Gita. Before that, it is just a friendly talk. But Arjuna accepts him as, or he surrenders to him as Shishya. So here he says, Karpanya dosha apahata svabhava, that my nature, I am completely bewildered by this petty knowledge and I have lost my composure by this weakness of miserly weakness. And pruṣaṁ, now I am asking you, pruṣaṁ tvām dharma sammūಢa cheta. Tell me what is really dharma, what is better for me now in this situation. Because now I am in such a condition that I don't know what to do. I don't know who am I even. And then you should tell me yat shreya. Shreyas and preyas. These are the 2 words particularly very broadly and very nicely explained in Kathopanishad, where there is very beautiful conversation between Nachiketa and Yamaraj, and then Nachiketa is very adamant young boy. He asks Yamaraj some very difficult questions, and Yamaraj says, no, these answers even devatas, I cannot even give devatas. But Nachiket somehow or other puts him in such a jeopardy that Yamaraj has to give him all the information. And then that conversation is very beautiful. So where these 2 words are used and very explained nicely, Shreyas and Preyas. So Preyas is something that will give me pleasure immediately. That my sense gratification. I want to eat rasgulla, even though it may not be, if I am diabetic and that eating gulab jamun or rasgulla may create problem for me, but that will give me temporary pleasure. So that is preyas. But knowing that it will create problem for me and avoiding that is shreyas. So shreya and preya. So here he is asking him, yet Shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me. What is Shreyas? Please tell me nishchitam, certainly, with certainty. Bruhi, you please tell tan me. And now he says, Shishyasteham, I am your surrendered disciple now. I completely surrender to you. Shadhimam, please instruct me. Tvām prapannam. मी तुझी पूर्ण शरण घेतोय. प्रपन्न. And then Krishna starts explaining the essential or the transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So a couple of things we learn from here in this verse is, even to Arjuna, Krishna did not give this knowledge until he completely surrendered to him. So this knowledge is confidential and it is not given just to anybody just because then there is no value and there is no appreciation and there will not be any understanding. And that's why this knowledge is given by authorized guru to a disciple who completely surrenders to him. That's how this knowledge is understood. And that's how even in purport, Prabhupada says that this is received in disciplic succession in the Guru Shishya Parampara. So that's why Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna. And again, here he says that even the main demigod, sages, even Asura, everything is coming from him and is dependent on him. Everyone is completely dependent on Krishna. Even though we call ourselves as so-called independents, but we are dependent on so many things. We are dependent for energy on sun in this universe. We are dependent on air for breathing. We are dependent on food, which can grow only if rain falls. And that rain, Krishna says that rain comes only by my mercy. We read in the 9th chapter. Then, so everything we are completely dependent on him. So main demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are the absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this world today, scientists say that we don't need God. We can create everything. But where are you getting all the resources to produce anything? And forget about only resources. Where are you getting the intelligence to build that? Krishna says, Buddhir buddhimatam asmi, tejas tejasvinamaham. We read in the 7th chapter that even the intelligence of the intelligent person is I am the source of that. But we are so adamant and so proud of so-called puny advancement we have made that we call ourselves independent and absolute and we don't need any God. So that's what our position is. We are so ignorant about our own position. So, and then Arjuna, here Prabhupada mentions that this Arjuna's sentences, whatever he's saying about Krishna, he's glorifying Krishna so much. Paraṁ brahma, paraṁ dhāma, pavitraṁ, paramam bhavān, puruṣaṁ, śāśvataṁ, divyam. So these are all in concordance with Vedic injunction. He's not saying anything wrong here or anything that is not according to the Vedic injunctions. In Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered as the highest of all the Puranas, it is Divya Purana, where in the 3rd chapter of 1st canto, Sutta Goswami elaborates several incarnations of Krishna. And then he says that I am just giving you very brief incarnations, but these number of incarnations are unlimited, just like in a vast body of water, there are unlimited ripples or waves, small waves continuously coming and going. We cannot even count them. In the same manner, avatars of Krishna are unlimited and they are continuously happening. And then he says that Etecha amsha kala pumsa Krishnastu bhagwan swayam, that all these amsha and kala, so his direct incarnations or incarnations of incarnations, plenary portions or the portions of plenary portions, but Krishnastu bhagwan swayam, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Rudayanti Yoge. Let's look at that verse. That is called emperor verse of all the Vedic literature. Sorry, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this first canto, 3rd chapter, 28th verse, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Let's read 26th and 28th. So here he says, Avatara hi asankheya harer sattva nidher dvija. That avatara hi, how many are there? Asankhya, of whom? Hari. So, O Brahmanas, the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, just like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible source of water. And then he says, Ete chamshakala pumsa Krishnastu bhagavan svayam indrari vyakulam rokam rudayanti yuge yuge. So he says, all of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of plenary portions, amsha or kala, of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. He is the original Bhagavan. And this is mentioned in many other places also, even when Brahmaji, when he appeared, even in the beginning, we think that Krishna appeared only 5,000 years ago, and before that there was no worship of Krishna. But there are several places or historic references from our Vedic literature or Puranas where many devotees were worshipping Krishna millions and trillions of years ago. So if Krishna appeared only 5,000 years ago, how did they know about Krishna? Because he is always there. He is eternal. Only thing, he appears in this universe once in the day of Brahma. And we are so fortunate that he appeared only 5,000 years ago, because Brahma's day is 4.32 billion years from humanly years calculation. So he says that Brahma says that Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Ishvara means controller. So we all are to some degree a controller. So I may have some control on certain things, certain people, to some degree, not full. Devatas have little more control on us, all of us. Or let's take example from our earthly planet. A prime minister or a president of a country has little more control on things in that country than the other citizens. He can change some laws which will impact everybody, and people cannot do everything because they don't have control. He has more control. So everybody is to some degree Ishvara. But Ishvara Parama is Krishna. But the supreme controller is Krishna, of whom there is no controller. So everybody has some control over someone else, but Krishna is the supreme controller. And his Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir, he has no beginning. Many times people ask this question: if God created everything, who created God? Or many people say that, oh, we created God. The humans created God only for having some kind of fear, because we fear God and we have some law and order maintaining going, because we fear God, and because of that we don't do something just for some moral conduct. No, but our scriptures, if we refer to them, they say something else, and that's what Ishvara Param Krishna Anadir, and he is the origin of everything, Adir, and his another name is Govinda. So he has unlimited names. And he is Sarva Karana Karanam. He has no cause, but he is the cause of all causes. There is no cause for him. There is no Karana for his creation, but he is the cause of all creation and annihilation. And Prabhupada uses those words in the purport. I think he is the cause of everything, all causes somewhere. And then Prabhupada gives some references here. Kena Upanishad also stated that Supreme Brahman, that the Supreme Brahman is the rest of everything, the param dhāma. So even though everything is, the whole creation rests somewhere, that is the Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, that is effulgence of Krishna. That is called as Brahman. And when we say effulgence, sometimes we think that effulgence means just light and heat, just because we have a understanding from the effulgence of sun. But when Krishna's effulgence, it is all energy. So even the living entities or whatever we see everywhere is Brahman. Everything is his energy, broadly classified in material and spiritual energy, but everything, if we see around, is made up of these two types of energies: material energy and spiritual energy. Everything that has developed consciousness is spiritual energy, and everything is dead matter is material energy, and that is further divided into many different categories, but broadly classified in these two energies, spiritual and material. The Mundaka Upanishad also confirms that the Supreme Lord, from in whom everything is resting. Actually, we read this in the 9th chapter, 4th verse also. Mayatitam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutanina nachaham teshva avasthita. That everything rests in me. And that's, we read from that pastime of Yashoda Mata and Krishna, when Balram and his friends, Krishna's friends, complained that to Mother Yashoda that, oh, Krishna is eating dirt. And Mother Yashoda then scolded, chastised Krishna, and she said, open your mouth. And when Krishna opened his mouth, what does she see? She sees the whole universe in his mouth. Everything is in his. And this is actually Kartik month, right? So Kartik month is also called Damodar Mas. So Damodar Leela, that is beautiful Leela, that when little Krishna was bound to ukhal or mortar by rope by Mother Yashoda, and Satyavrata Muni, he is the one who says the Damodar Ashtakam. In the last stanza of his this, he offers the obeisances, he offers namaskar to that even rope that is bound around the belly of Krishna. Namastestu damne spuradipti dhamne. Namastestu damne. Dam means rope. That's why his name is Dama Udara. Udara means belly or port, and Dama means rope. So Krishna was tied around his belly by Mother Yashoda by Dama. That's why his name is Damodara. So Namastestu damne. What's effulgent divya rope is that which can tie the belly of Krishna, in which all the universes live? What type of rope is that? Spuradipti dhamne. Dham, the dham of whole universes is that belly. So that belly or that Krishna, everything rests in him. Everything is, even the Brahman is in his. So that is one who engages constantly thinking of him, and this thinking is called, one of the devotional processes called smaranam, shravanam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam. We read about the 9 processes of devotional service. So smaranam, thinking of him all the time, thinking of his pastimes, thinking of his instructions from the Bhagavad Gita. That is one of the limbs of bhakti, out of Navavidha bhakti. So 9, 10, 29. Okay. So in the Vedas, Supreme Lord is accepted as purest pure. Pavitraṁ is one of the words Arjuna uses in this verse, right? Today, pavitraṁ, paramam, bhavān. So Krishna is pure. Krishna can never be contaminated by anything. So Krishna can never do sin. Just like, and in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is very nicely explained. Shukadeva Goswami gives an example of sun. So sunlight can go to any place, even the filthiest place in the world, even the most abominable, dirty, smelly, filthiest place, sunlight will go. Sunlight or sun will never get contaminated by presence of sunlight or sun. Rather, that filthy place will get purified by sunlight. And we have that experience. If there is some smelly place or something, when we put that in sun, smell, that smell goes away and that things get purified. Or even for us, it is very necessary that we go in sun, that we can get the essential vitamin D3. So sunlight or sun, even if something very contaminated comes in contact with sun, that contaminated thing will get purified, but sun will never get contaminated. Or even something, what we do is, in old days, if you remember, in our childhood, I remember the syringes, they were reusable. So the doctors, they used to put the syringes after use in boiling water so that they disinfect them. Because of the heat, they'll get disinfected. Heat is nothing but energy of sun. So anything that is come in contact with heat or sun, that gets uncontaminated. So in the same manner, Krishna actually, and sun gets that energy from Krishna. Krishna is the source of energy for sun also. So that Krishna is pavitraṁ. So anything that is contaminated, if that comes in contact with Krishna, that gets purified. Krishna is never contaminated. To understand this, it takes little understanding of the Vedic literature. But one who understands that Krishna is the purest of pure becomes purified of all sinful activities. And even by understanding that Krishna is the purest, one gets free from sinful reactions. As we read in the 4th chapter, tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti Arjuna. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvata, Krishna said in the 9th shloka of 4th chapter. So just by knowing Krishna, some truth about Krishna, we get purified. And one cannot get disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord Krishna. So all this information, Vedic literature, Puranas and everything, that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Bhagwan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he is the one who appears here in material world for different past, performing this different leelas or for different reasons. And here Prabhupada mentions that although I am unborn, I appear on this earthly planet to establish religious principles. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. And he is the cause of all causes. There we discuss about this. Sarva karana karanam. Everything emanating from him. This is the perfection of knowledge that we can understand only by his mercy. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. So here Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of knowledge. So Arjuna is expressing this only because by mercy of Krishna. And so if we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should accept what Arjuna has accepted here about Krishna. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this cannot be understood by the so-called academic education. This can be only understood. Krishna, we can understand Bhagwan or Krishna and his instruction only as repeatedly said in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvata. Only by devotional service, only by bhakti, one can understand Krishna as he is and his instruction. So, unfortunately, those who are proud of their academic education, despite of so much evidence in Vedic literature and despite of so much evidence all around us, they do not accept Bhagavan. This is very unfortunate, but that's what it is, because we are so proud of our so-called education that we say, oh, I want to see things to prove them. But when we cannot even, we are so dependent on external things, that is light, for seeing even our hand. If there is a pitch dark, I cannot even see my hand. And then we are asking about seeing something that is we cannot understand completely. So that's our fallacy. That's the nature what we have. So stop there. It's 10:36 here. Hare Krishna, Rajesh Prabhu. So any reflections, Prabhuji? So very beautiful verses here. This Arjuna's realization about Krishna, and then
Krishna, right.
yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please. Any thoughts, reflections?
Reflection here means it is just repetition of what our understanding about Krishna. Arjuna is putting in his means after accepting the fact that okay, he is the ultimate person. Arjuna put it in his own words that and accepting Krishna as a what is that paraṁ puruṣaṁ, right? Because he realized that okay, he is the cause of everything. Whether means what is that you mentioned those words? I forgot those now.
Cause of all causes, sarva karana karana.
Yeah, cause of all causes. Yeah, and basically his realization and accepting him as a ultimate or a paraṁ puruṣaṁ. That's what these two verses tells us.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Śāśvataṁ.
Yeah.
Any additional thoughts?
No, same thing. Actually, it has come at many places in Bhagavad Gita, actually. As reacted. And this is our awakening, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is that is the knowledge actually we are getting in this. Because we worship many deities and all, but as Krishna says, even I am the creator and everything is because of me. The deity is also whatever the fruits you get it for your work or worship. It is also provided by Krishna. So that is true actually. And another thing is, yes, the world is made of material energy and spiritual energy, correct? And Krishna is not, Krishna is source of both the energies. Krishna is the maintainer, source, and with that itself, that realization itself tells us it is limitless actually. How big, beyond our thinking capacity. If it is means we cannot just by mere speculation we cannot think his powers or how he is maintaining, and the whole universe is because he is maintaining the universe. We are a very tiny part of that, that energy, and that clarifies all the doubts actually. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Rajesh Prabhu. And again, आपण जे वाचतोय किंवा we are, because every time we are discussing verse, we repeat same message again and again. But that's what the whole Bhagavad Gita is from different angles. Is showing us what the real knowledge is, and from all sides, because that's for our conviction. Because and he doesn't want to leave anything there, that there is no loophole or no gap. So, and we'll see that in next chapter also, that somebody may ask question then, oh, what about the this whole world or universal form then? And then Krishna asks him, oh, if I think I am eligible to see this universal form, can you show me universal form? And then he shows universal form also, because somebody may think that, oh, Krishna, it's all right, Krishna is Bhagwan, but maybe universal form is greater than him. So in the 11th chapter, he shows that also. And then further in different aspects of the material world, we learn lots of things. But the ultimate truth is the Supreme Lord is Krishna, and our duty is to serve him. That's the whole sum and substance of not only Bhagavad Gita, but
Correct.
all the
Correct.
And then that we will hear almost every time we read from Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Yes.
So, Madhu Prabhu, Sunil Prabhu, any additional thoughts, comments? If not, I think we can stop the discussion here.